Alright, so today we're talking about solving quadratic equations by graphing. So first we're going to go over your igniter, so go ahead and pause the video and try that on your own. So remember graphing, and we need to graph our parent function and then determine what transformations happened. Alright, so I chose some x values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Plugged those in and got my y values. Plotted my points and made my graph. And at any point in the video, remember you guys can pause or rewind if you missed something or want to see something again. So then I need to graph my parent function, which is y equals x squared. So for those x values, I have -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Plug those in, and there are my y values. I can plot that. And then I just need to ask, do I have to move up or down to get from my purple vertex to the blue one? And yes, I do, so that's a vertical shift. I do not have to move horizontally, so there's no horizontal shift. And the blue graph is skinnier, so that's a vertical stretch. And there is no reflection. Okay? Alright, our first vocab word is zeros. So again, feel free to pause so you can make sure you get this down. Our zeros, which we talked about, were the same as x-intercepts and solutions, are where the graph crosses the x-axis. So those are called zeros as well as solutions. So you guys can see in those examples. In the first one, we have 2 solutions is when our graph crosses twice. 1 is where it just touches, and no real solutions is where our graph does not cross the x-axis. Here we want to solve the quadratic by graphing, so we're going to graph like we normally do. Create your xy table, and I choose my x values, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Plug that in to get my y values. And I don't have enough when I plot those on my graph to see the full shape, so I'm going to add a few more points. I'm going to add 3 and 4 as well, and 5 just to be safe. Then when I plot those, I get a much better picture on my graph. So my solutions, remember, are where my graph crosses the x-axis, so those are going to be the 2 points there. You can see them in your table or on your graph. So my solutions are -2, 0, and 5, 0. Next, we want to make a prediction as to what a graph looks like that has no solutions. So remember, no solutions is where it does not cross the x-axis. So any type of graph, as long as it's not touching the x-axis and has the parabola shape, would be fine. So you might have something different than mine, that's okay. Here we want to solve this, so we need to first rewrite my equation. So we'll talk a little bit more about this, but we want to use this function. I just added 3 over to the other side, so you won't have to do this for your homework today, but just go ahead and use that equation that I wrote in. And then we can make our xy table with my values there. There are my y values, so I can go ahead and plot that. And as you guys can see, it does not cross the x-axis anywhere, so there is no solution. Okay. The next part where we approximate solutions, we talked about this a little bit. This was calculating our zero, where you graph your function on your calculator, and then second calc, and you choose 0. We'll talk more about this Friday, but if you guys already remember how to do this, then you can go ahead and do that as well for your homework. Application problem, we have our equation. In choosing x values, I'm not going to choose any negatives because we're talking about t seconds. Okay, so make sure you pause the video and read the question. Once I plug in the x values, I can see that my numbers are just getting bigger and bigger. So I'm going to use my calculator to find that x-intercept. That's the steps above. If you don't know how to do it, I can show you on Friday. But I do end up getting 15.6 as my intercept right there on my graph. Then for the last one, you want to set up a table. So go ahead, choose some values for yourself. I chose -2, -1, 0, 1, 2 as my starting point. But as you guys can see on my graph, I have those plotted and I don't really get a full picture. So I'm going to add a few more values, -4, -3, -5, and then I do end up getting the whole picture and I get those 2 points where my graph crosses. Again, you can see those in the table as well. So those would be my solutions, -5, 0, and 1, 0.